to bring Ms. Nancy Rusk to join us up here and welcome us, lead us in an opening prayer.
In 1940, James Dillon Freeman was asked to write a prayer because of the ravages that the world's war had taken on our communities. I'd like to share that prayer with you. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is. If you've heard this before, you know this prayer has gone to the moon and back. It's gone around the world and in this room tonight. Thank you for letting me share that. I have another I could not resist that is so appropriate for the time we're living in, and we can do this together. God, grant us the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. And last, I want to bless this hallowed ground that we're in tonight. We know this is hallowed ground where we are, where we stand, where we sit. We know there have been prayers prayed where you are by people of many multiple generations, knowing we're here tonight. May the Spirit be with us. Amen.
All right, and now we're going to have Lottie and Valentina lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Come on, ladies. This one on? Yes. Everyone please stand for the pledge.
Of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. I want to take a second to welcome with us the elected officials and candidates that we have. We have Ms. Julie Holman from Van Zandt County Chair. You can see it if you want to. We have Constable Mr. Bobby Gardner over here. Thank you so much for joining us. Mr. Julie Howard from Russell County, our wonderful county chair. Thank you so much for joining us. Mr. Michael Colbert, the Smith County Chair. Thank you so much, Michael. Thank you so much for being here. We have Ms. Bonnie Karen, who's our SDC committee woman. And we're going to bring her in and say words to welcome us. Before we get the candidate, the videos, let me go tell them that we're ready. The first one is going to be Jara.
Thank you for coming. We have several candidates here who traveled a good distance to be here, and some who are quite close. And the ones who couldn't be here sent regrets, and you'll be watching some videos prepared specifically for our audience tonight from some of those folks. But the first speaker tonight is Jara Butler. Many of you know Jara. She is a field coordinator for Beto, our federal candidate for Senate, who, depends on which poll you're watching, is leading Ted Cruz right now. And I remind people that the only poll that counts is the one taken in the polls on November the 6th. But without further ado, Jara Butler, will you please come tell us about Beto and his fabulous candidacy across the state, fueled by Whataburgers and ridden on a skateboard?
I don't like podiums because I create them. Hi, my name is Jara Butler, and I'm here on behalf of my boss and someone, but more importantly, someone that I've come to admire, Beto O'Rourke. He's that guy that's running for Senate, in case you didn't know. This is the most important election of our lifetime because we got it wrong 2 years ago. We got it really, really wrong. And they say that in life, we don't get a do-over. This is our do-over. When I think about Beto and what this campaign is about, my story about getting on with Beto is because I called him out for something very simple. I didn't see enough people that looked like me sitting on the campaign. Any other leader would have dismissed me. Any other leader would have said, yeah, I hear what you said, talk to my people. He came back and followed up with me. And he sat down at a table and he listened to us as we explained why we felt like you need to come to us. We don't need to keep coming to you. And he listened and he listened and he listened and he's listened to everybody in 254 counties and he continues to listen. And that's who we need in Washington. I don't know how many of you have ever gone and tried to talk to a representative, but it is nothing more frustrating in the world than having a representative who sits there and looks at you with a blank stare, placates you, and sends you on your way. No, sir, I pay your salary. You don't pay mine. You work for me. And I want someone who works for me. Now, we talk about this blue wave, woohoo. No, because the blue wave got stopped on Tuesday when we lost the Senate seat. That is not a wave. That's a ripple. And we lost the seat because only 6%, with a 6% turnout, in a seat that we should have held. So while we go to rallies don't vote. Facebook likes don't vote. Hashtags don't vote. What votes are people. We can sit here and wear our t-shirts and use our yard signs and scream and shout all we want to, but until we go to the polls, this is not a done deal. So what we need is we need to take this fire and this passion and we need to actually turn it into votes. Because blue wave, that wave can become a ripple very, very quickly. And Beto is one man, but he's powered by the people. And that means that the people are going to have to take him over the top. And it's more than because he skateboards randomly through a parking lot in Whataburger. And it's not because he eats triple cheeses, because I don't even know how, but he does. And it's not just because he was in a rock band, and it's not just because of all the great things. It's because he actually cares about the people in this state. But the people in this state are going to have to take him over. The people in this room are going to have to take him over the top. So let me tell you why East Texas is important. Because it is. We can't rely on the urban areas anymore to carry the blue part of the state. The blueberries can't hold us anymore. So we've got to stop depending on Austin and Dallas and Houston and San Antonio, Bayer, because guess what? We lost in Bayer. We have to start, every one of us has to pick up our clipboard and put on our t-shirt and put on our tennis shoes and go knock on doors. We've got to pick up the phone and start calling voters, and if you're on our campaign, we like to text too. Because this is serious. Now, Texas ranks 49th in voting. I mean, we rank at the bottom of everything, but the least we can do is come up a couple of points in voting. But the bottom line is this. If we want it, anything worth having is worth fighting for. So I'm leaving you all with this, and I want to ask you this. Is it worth it? Is it worth the fight? If it's worth the fight, then I want to see everybody out telling your friends, bringing your friends, talking the talk and walking the walk, because we can't take anything for granted, because a blue wave can become a ripple, and we have to sure that we don't just rely on everyone because East Texas can do it. And it doesn't mean we need a miracle. What we need is you. If you haven't already, sign up. We have a plan to win. We even have like a little seminar that we have called the Plan to Win. If you haven't already, text Beto to 90975 to sign up for a shift to walk. We need you. We're not writing anyone off because we can't afford to.
Amen.
We can't. And one last thing. When people ask me, why do you support Beto? Why do you go so hard? And I say, because for two reasons. Voting like Black Lives Matter, that's number one. And number two, anyone who stands on principle, even when it's difficult, has not only earned my vote, but earned my respect. Now let's take this back, and let's take it hard. Let's get the blue wave here, and let's bring common sense back to our government again. Thank you.
And now we're going to have a video from Mr. Justin Nelson, who is our candidate for Attorney General.
Hello, East Texas Stonewall Democrats. Thank you to Mary Lou and Josh and to Karen. I'm so sorry I can't be there with you in person, but it's so important what you are doing to fight for equal justice for everybody. We have come a long way in the past 50 years, including when I was working on the Supreme Court for Justice O'Connor the year that Lawrence versus Texas was decided. It is so important that we have equal justice for all, that we not take step backs, that instead we are continuing to fight for equal justice so that everybody, every single person knows that there's equal justice. Thank you for all that you're doing, and let's continue to make Texas a place where everybody feels welcome. Thanks.
All right, I'm going to bring our next speaker. Dr. Shirley McKellar is a lady that I truly admire. When I first heard about her a couple years ago, I just started crying because she inspires me. And every time I see her, I tell her that she inspires me because she inspires so much, because she has done so much, not only for here locally in our community, but protecting us and saving us overseas. So everyone, please welcome Dr. Shirley McKellar.
Good evening. My first statement to you is, so goes East Texas, so goes Texas. And I thank Jara for that information because she is so on point. And let me tell you, I love East Texas. And I want to represent, once again, this East Texas, District 1 in Washington, D.C. First of all, I want to thank the Stonewall Democrats for inviting me to come tonight, and then, of course, being here with my colleagues. And we were in the back room talking a few minutes ago, and we were talking about the Dallas Morning News, and we were talking about the Washington Post, and all of these articles that are written about us, right? So there was an article today, and I want you to go and take a look at that, the Washington Post, about Shirley McKellar. 52 ladies across the United States that are running for U.S. Congress. And I said to my colleagues, they got it wrong both times. They said, I'm the first-time candidate, and the likelihood of my winning is not good because we don't get our people out to the polls to vote. Well, I want you to know that we are about to make them out of a lie because each district is going to get their people to the polls to vote, right? We have to prove to them that we care about East Texas and that we're going to work for the greater good of East Texas, and that every single person is going to put on their boots, whether they're stiletto boots, cowboy boots, military boots, whatever boots you wear. Let's put sure that we win this election, because if we don't, and I'm going to say this to the African Americans, if we don't, we may be 50 years back to slavery, and I haven't been there, and I don't want to go there. This past week, Tuesday night to be exact, we were talking to the female veterans. Everybody knows that I'm a veteran. Everybody knows that I'm very concerned about the greater good of veterans. Your benefits, your Social Security, your health care, all of those things. Well, there were females in that meeting on Tuesday night, and they didn't feel like they were veterans because somebody has made them feel that way. So I want every female veteran to know, if you served 180 days, you are a veteran, and don't allow anybody to stop you from believing that. And I'm going to fight to make sure every female veteran and male veteran, but now I'm talking about females. I'm going to make sure that every female gets her benefits, and that every female does not feel like she is not a veteran, because she is, whether she served in wartime or peacetime. If she raised her hand and carried out the mission that was presented to her, she is indeed a veteran. Would you agree? Veteran and male veterans, would you agree? Now, I want to recognize our veterans, because that is the original reason why I decided to run for the United States Congress. So with all the veterans, please stand, and let's give them a round of applause. Last night, we were out in Prairie View A&M University. And let me tell you, it was amazing to be out there to see Beto with all of those African-American students that were fired up and ready to go. We even have one here, Mr. Christian Gooden, who is right here at Texas College. I want to tell you, you may think the millennials are not ready, but they are ready. And guess what? They are the ones that's going to take us across this line to make sure that I become the next United States Congressperson in the first district, and so becomes the Senate, and all of my colleagues go in the corners with that seat, because all of us deserve greater economic growth. We deserve the great education. We're number 49 in this country for voting. We got to show the Washington Post that we are going to get all of us out to the polls. Every single voice is important. So let's get our boots on, get out there in the streets, canvass, and make sure that everybody goes to the polls and they vote. And they vote 2018 for every Democrat on this ticket, because it is the Democrats that work for the greater good of all mankind. Thank you. May God bless you.
We're going to have the next video from our governor candidate, Lupe Valdez.
Hey, Tyler Democrats, this is Lupe Valdez, your nominee for governor. I'm so sorry that I can't be there with you. I know you're having a lot of fun, and I'd love to be part of it. But I just want to make sure that you know that I am working hard for you. You may not know this, but as a child, I went from the lowest zip code in San Antonio to a much better school so that I could have a great opportunity. And it worked. I was able to go to college, to the military, become a federal agent, and soon the sheriff of Dallas County. But what's important is that if it can work for me, it can work for all of us. I am running to give every Texan a fighting chance. And we're not talking about handouts or giveaways or anything like that. We're talking about fighting chance. There's a Spanish saying that says, "No más le pido a Dios que me ponga donde hay." All I ask God is that you put me within reach. Just put me close enough and I'll fight for it. And that's what we're doing this time. We are fighting to make sure that the everyday Texan gets a voice. I'm running because I want to make things better for all of us. Public education, that's an equalizer. It helps all of us a better life. And if we don't have decent public education, we're stifling genius. Healthcare. Our current governor has literally helped not put over 1 million people on healthcare by not accepting the Medicaid expansion. And I could go on and tell you why I'm so passionate about making sure that our voices are heard. But we must continue on with the party and the picnic and enjoy ourselves. Don't forget to vote. And get your neighbors to vote. Get everybody out to vote. When we vote, we win. Don't forget to get out the vote. Thank you so much for what you're doing, and we can't do this without you. Thank you.
Now, I'm very excited about our next speaker because I have only heard her speak like at the convention and on video. So I'm not going to hold this up any longer. Please welcome our next Comptroller for the state of Texas, Ms. Chevalier.
Thank you, guys. I am so fortunate to be back here in Thailand and seeing some wonderful familiar faces. Hey, y'all. So, for you guys who don't know me, I am Joy Chevalier, and I'm actually looking to be the next Texas Comptroller of Public Accounts. So, I always start with a question. How many of you guys actually know what the Comptroller's office does? Okay, some of y'all are dreamers. Halfway up? That's fine. How many of you guys actually know who the current Comptroller is? Oh, look at one hand. You're awesome. Well, it doesn't really matter because you guys are going to help take care of that come November 6th. So before I quiz you guys anymore. So indeed, the Comptroller actually is one of your statewide roles. It is actually the person who helps manage your wallet, literally. It is the person in the office of nearly 2,800 who helps, who certifies your budget, helps certify costs around legislation. And you know, Texas has a $217 billion budget. It's huge. It's the second largest in the United States. The Comptroller's office also manages all the state's investments, the large funds, like you probably heard of the Rainy Day Fund. It takes care of that, and it has a couple other aspects as well, one an EPA function and a clean energy function. But the idea really behind the Comptroller's office is that for ages it's been the bully pulpit that really defends you through finances, through the budget. Our budget priorities don't reflect our needs. So when we talk about healthcare, when we talk about lowering property taxes, when we're talking about making sure funds actually go to education as we expect our revenues to do so. When we talk about a budget that does not include the ACA expansion as a way of easing our financial burden by taking dollars that we've already used, that's the place where the Comptroller's office can really shine because it has all the data, it knows the numbers, and it can detach those to outcomes and things in your daily lives. The Comptroller's office is one of the offices that most Texans actually touch at some point. And that voice, that ability for the Comptroller to really speak, like John Sharp, some of you guys remember, used to. They'd walk into a room and people would go, oh, the buddy person is here, right? Or Bob Bullock, right? These former, even Ann Richards, who was actually the previous treasurer, right? And that role went into the Comptroller's office. They walked in and had a real voice. It is a non-legislative role. So it doesn't make laws or pass bills, but it executes on your behalf, should make suggestions and recommendations how to improve that. It's an awesome role, and I'm looking forward to really pushing that role back and giving it the voice that it used to have. So just a tad about me. My family and I are actually from Houston, actually, though my family is from East Texas. Not many people actually know that. They were from Newton and Jasper counties. See, they know where that's at. Not a lot of people do. And then part of my family was from Louisiana, hence the last name. I was born and raised in Houston, on the east side of Houston. And I was fortunate. My family stressed three things: equality, opportunity, and a fair shot. And I was very fortunate. My mother was a single parent. She worked very hard. And around those principles, raised us, part of the union, which was a key portion of that. We spent a lot of time with our union friends and our union family who also stressed those things. And I was fortunate to eventually go to the University of Texas. And I got to go to Oxford in England. And then I came back and continued at the University of Texas because I love apparently giving the University of Texas money. Actually, I was very fortunate. I actually earned full scholarship to go to the University of Texas. And then my work was seen by technology companies. So we talk about a $217 billion budget. It sounds like a lot. But in fact, for the next 20 years, 18 years, I worked for technology companies in Austin, developing products, running very large global diverse programs, $1 million programs whose job was to earn billions of dollars. So the word B, the letter B, does not frighten me. But the idea is that through those dollars, we make everyone successful. We make our team successful. We make our users and our customers successful, and we make the business successful. There's always more to be had and more to share around the group. And in delivering those very large programs and products, I'm looking forward to the challenge of the biggest budget I've ever had to deal with the state of Texas, because it's not a zero-sum game. In that, Texas is an abundant place. And there are enough dollars to go around, despite what you hear, that we can have the education, public education we believe should exist. We can have health care for our citizens. That's distinctly possible. And I'd like to focus on those items and bring that innovative voice back to that office and say, this is how we're going to solve that problem. So, enough about me. The last thing I'll tell you, everybody's talked to you about voting. So, here's my strategy on election day. Take 10. Take 10 with you to the polls. Now, I have a little trick around that. It is to take them to lunch and then take them to the polls. So I would encourage you to do that. But it is true. This wave is a real thing. We're traveling all around the state. You guys see yourselves here. But when I was just in Fredericksburg last night, no matter where we go, the Democratic rooms are large. And they're powered by women. Democratic women across this state. So I would ask those ladies, you're in charge. Keep that wave going right until November 6th. You guys can find out more about me at joyfortexas.com. I thank you guys so much. Thank you, because you're awesome. And thank you for coming out so much. Thanks, guys.
All right, we're going to have two videos actually from Roman McAllen, who is our Railroad Commissioner candidate, and Miss Colonel Kim Olson, who is going to be our next flag commissioner.
Hi everyone, I'm Roman McAllen, and I'm running to be your voice on the Railroad Commission of Texas. The biggest job of the RRC today is the regulation of the oil and gas industry. The Railroad Commission of Texas has nothing to do with railroads or trains. It has to do with water, air, and the environment for future generations. We all know that the oil and gas industry has been very good to Texas, but now more than ever, we must be conservative about how we extract them. The RRC needs leadership that accepts the science on climate change and is not afraid to admit it. Like the deceptive name, practically no one knows about the severance tax. Set by our Texas legislature, part of this tax goes to the rainy day fund and part to pay for public schools. This tax on non-renewables extracted from Texas land has not been raised since 1951, and there are exemptions for hydraulically fracked wells. So while property taxes keep going up, allegedly to pay for our public schools, oil companies are reaping enormous profits extracting non-renewable resources from Texas land. The current Railroad Commission commissioners accept enormous and unlimited campaign contributions from oil companies. You heard that right. Regulators paid by the regulator is a bad idea. I do not accept campaign contributions from oil companies or from corporate PACs. And when you elect me, my staff will work for a safer and a more equitable Texas for future generations. I'm Roman McAllen. Thank you for your support. Let's get out there and vote in November and change Texas. Thank you.
Jim Olson here, running to be your Texas Commissioner of Agriculture. Hey, Smith County, it's a shout out to you. I'm down here in Trinity County. Look, I don't have to tell you that Smith County is real important to win in this election. We need 17,782 votes out of your county, and I know you're going to bring it. Because you're going to walk blocks, you're going to register voters, and you're going to drive people to the polls. And I don't have to tell you that this position needs to represent all Texans, because you all eat, and I know you're all wearing clothes. So we need you to get out the vote, because when you don't vote, it is a vote. This is Kim Olson. I'm running for your Texas Commissioner of Agriculture, and I want to remind you of one more thing. Check it out.
I think that was the best video. All right. Our next candidate, here's my little story about Mike Hollier. I met him last March when he came to Longview for the first time. He first announced his candidacy. It was the first time that I got to listen to him speak and meet him. I learned that he is very smart and he is very compassionate. And he reminded us that Texas, we stay Austin, which is supposed to be the friendly state. And he said that the state of Texas has not been very friendly in the past, and he's going to change that. And with that, I bring to you our next Lieutenant Governor of the state of Texas, Mike Hollier.
Thank you very much. Well, I'm back in Tyler. I think this is my 6th time to be back in Tyler. And I'm delighted to be here. And so I'm going to point out my new right-hand man, Josh. He's just Josh, so Spencer. The reason why I point him out is that he's my new aide de camp. He's come in from Virginia because he wants us to win. There are a lot of people in this country that want us to win. And we were driving to Tyler, so I think this is your first time to Tyler, right? We started real early this morning in Austin, and then we had a bunch of TV work we had to do. That's why I'm a little bit overdressed. We came up here, and of course we're heading to Laredo, then we come back up to Dallas, from San Antonio back to Dallas and Houston, so on and so forth. But I didn't warn him what was coming. I just said very subtly, we're headed to Tyler. East Texas is kind of pretty. And then I didn't let it say anything more. And then we got on 31. Of course, we drove through some rain coming up through Waco, and then you cut over and you hit 31. Is it 31? You go a long ways on 31. But you know, the sun came out, and Spencer's driving along, and he says, you know, Mike, this really is pretty. And I said, well, welcome to East Texas. Well, I'm delighted to be in East Texas, and I'm here because I've got to beat Dan Patrick, right? It's got to go. And the polls show that we can do it. Now, let's talk about this for a second. The polls show that we can do it. We're within 6 points or 5 points, depending on what poll you look at. Do you know what that means? If you're within 5 or 6 points, that means if we turn out, we win it. If we don't turn out, we don't win it. But if we turn out, we win it. And that's what this is all about at this stage of the game. I personally have been working on this for 1,953 days. Because I got angry enough to run, and I kept running. I ran for Comptroller, and I didn't stop because the problems were getting worse. But I can hardly believe it's sort of like pinch me. We're down to about 33 days before early voting, which I thought would never get here, but it's a little bit like a child at Christmas time. Bring it on, because there's going to be a lot of presents under that tree, because we're going to win it, right? Well, we have to win it. And let's just go quickly through what we're going to do. Here's what we're going to do as Democrats. First of all, public education, right? We're going to invest in public education. We have any retired teachers here? All right. I never make a speech. Thank you. I never make a speech without telling everybody in this state that retired teachers don't get Social Security. Retired teachers don't have survivor benefits. Retired teachers are counting on the state for their monthly stipend and for their health care. And the stipend hasn't been raised in 17 years. And the state's always said that you can always trust us. Cross our heart and hope to die. You can always trust us on health care, but you can't anymore. You can't trust them because they took your benefits away. Not completely, but it hurts. The premiums are up. The deductibles are up. We have Texas teachers who can't afford their medicine as we speak. When Texans find out about that, they're appalled. That's why I say it everywhere we go. and as your lieutenant governor, you're going to get those benefits back on day one, even if you have to use the rainy day fund, because it's the right thing to do, right? Active teachers, put your hand up. Are you an active teacher? Any active teachers? Okay, thank you, thank you. All right, let's talk about active teachers. We need to put more money in public education. Everyone knows that. And I've often started my speech by saying we need to give teachers a raise. But God love teachers. You know what teachers say to me? They said, don't start there, Mike. Don't start there. Start with smaller class sizes and special education teachers. Because I got into this to teach. I want to teach. Those children want to learn. So that's what we'll do. Smaller class sizes and special education teachers for that reason, right? But guess what, teachers? You're going to get a raise anyway because we want teaching to be the choice, the profession of choice. We want the best and the brightest who have an impulse to teach, to confidently make the decision to teach. That's how we're going to have great schools. And then we want them to stay because teachers get better and better and better and better. We don't want them to get to year 5 and year 6 and then start worrying about money and worrying about retirement security. So we want it to be a great profession. That's how we're going to have great schools. And then pre-K. We got to invest in pre-K, right? Pre-kindergarten is so important. And I'll tell you why. I often hear from my Republican friends that if the parents don't care, there's nothing you can do. You've heard them say that, right? You've heard them say that? That's wrong. That's wrong. Particularly, if you catch a child when they're really, really young, it doesn't matter the circumstances that they're born into. You show them a safe place, give them a meal, give them a taste of learning, then you've created a student, then you've created a productive citizen. That's what we're going to do in public education is pre-K, right? Okay, that's what we're going to do. And the money, so we need more money. And I found the money. I'm a corporate accountant. I know where all the bodies are buried. I found the money. The large corporations aren't paying their fair share of taxes. I won't go into the details because you all have heard this from me so many times. There's a huge loophole. The large corporations exploit the loophole. Everybody knows about it. And we're going to close that loophole. And that's going to bring money into the system, and we can do what we need to in public education. So we'll do that. Now let's talk a little bit about health care. Time to expand Medicaid, right? We should expand Medicaid. Because we got a big problem. We got a big problem with health care in this nation. The folks in Austin that we're competing against could care less. They could care less about what's happening to real Americans, real Texans in terms of health care. So we're going to expand Medicaid and then pre-existing conditions. Now you know what's happening with pre-existing conditions, right? When you're block walking and knocking on doors, don't forget to tell them that Dan Patrick and his indicted mini-me in Paxton are trying to take protections with pre-existing conditions and get rid of them. And it doesn't make any sense. So Justin Nelson that you heard from, you got to elect him because he'll keep fighting the battle legally. And then you got to elect me because what we'll do then is have absolute protection in state law, protections with pre-existing conditions so that you don't lose your health care, right? You with me on that? Okay. We got to kill gerrymandering. We got to kill gerrymandering before gerrymandering kills democracy. It's strangling democracy. So we got to kill gerrymandering. And we need criminal justice reform. And that's very important, right? Criminal justice reform because we're taking young black men and we're locking them up for doing nothing worse than the fraternity brothers do on a Saturday night. Except they can't get out because they don't have the means or the connections. We all know this is happening. And it has to stop. We need to get our young men out of prison and working again. And that's what we have to do. Democrats will fight that fight. Republicans will not fight that fight. And I don't want private prisons. I don't want anybody to have a profit motive to incarcerate our young people. And forget this check the box. When you go to apply for a job, don't ask the question if you've been incarcerated. We need to give everybody a second chance. Those are the sorts of things that we need to do. And then we need to bring back compassion. Do you agree? Bring back compassion. Now, I want to tell you some stories from the campaign trail since I was on it. Yes, Josh, we met. It was March, but it was March of 2017. We've been on this for a year and a half. And I think this was one of my first stops when I decided to run. And let me tell you, so when you run, people come up to you and they tell you some stories. I'm going to tell you some of the things that people have said to me along the way. Mental health. We have a real problem with mental health in this state. Don't you agree? And we need to do something about it. And I had a woman come up to me with tears in her eyes, and she said, Mike, I'm so glad you're talking about mental health because my son, who was healthy until he turned 20, then began to show signs of a problem. It turns out that he had schizophrenia. It often happens in their 20s. She said, I could not get any help for him. Did everything I could think of. I had to have him arrested because only in the jail can they get mental health. She said, thank you so much for talking about mental health. When we win, we're going to affect that woman's life and other people like it, right? I'll tell you a story about a woman that came up to me, a retired teacher with tears in her eyes. And she was 63 years old, so she's got 2 more years to wait for Medicare. She's counting on the state. She and her husband are both retired teachers, both 63 years old. She had a stroke. He was diagnosed with cancer. She was trembling with fear because she didn't think that she was going to have health care. A retired teacher, and she said, Mike, thank you, thank you, thank you. We have to fight and win for her and others like her, right? Let me tell you another story about a woman who came to me. Again, she was very emotional, and she told me about her son who was in transition. It was transgender. And she had tears in her eyes, and she said, Mike, I want to talk to you about that issue, because you always make this joke about how, if Dan Patrick was so worried about bathrooms, he would have banned Republican politicians from using them, because more Republicans have been caught doing bad things in bathrooms than the whole transgender community, which is true, and that's always my subtle way of telling everybody, A, that that's nonsense, and B, that I won't do it. But she came up to me and she said, see if I can get through this. She said that my son heard that and said, there's somebody there that will fight for me. You saved my son's life. You saved my son's life. The reason why I tell you these stories is because the work that we are in changes people's lives. It saves people's lives. We must win. We must win. Shirley must win. Joy must win. I must win. Everyone that you saw must win. Beto must win. I'm fighting as hard as I can, and I know that you're fighting as hard as you can. And you got to knock on doors, and you got to do the phone banking, and the digital things the young people do. We have to win, but we can hold our heads high as Democrats, because Democrats are the ones that are compassionate, and we always do this, right? And we can hold our heads high. Are you with me on that? Right. Now, I believe in the separation of church and state. Actually, now we are in the House of Worship, so perhaps I should straighten up a bit. I believe in the separation of church and state. I'm passionate about the separation of church and state, because that is the bedrock of our freedom, right? But I was also raised in the Catholic Church. And I even read a Bible. Catholics don't read Bibles, it's packaged for us. You probably know that. Any Catholics? Okay. But I read it, of course. But I bought a Bible and I read it. I read it cover to cover. And you know what I find in there? I find compassion. I find compassion when I read that. Whatsoever you do to the least of my brethren, that you will do unto me. When I started my campaign, the very first TV camera that showed up said, all right, let's check out who this Democrat is. It must be Dan Patrick. El Diablo, I call him. It was here in Tyler. It was right up there. The very first thing I said was, I'm running for lieutenant governor because here's what I believe. Whatsoever you do to the least of my brethren, that you do unto me. They didn't put that on TV. It just blew their mind. Democrats don't talk like that. But that's who we are as Democrats. And that's why this is so important. And that's why I am so proud to be in the work that we're in. I'm almost disappointed that we only have 33 more days. Because it is, yes, of course. Yeah, it's tiring. Of course it's tiring. But that's okay. I almost hate to see it end, because the work that we're in is so important, and we must win. I know that we will win. I'll close by saying this. So my father's a Catholic, my mother's a Methodist, and Scotch-Irish, stubborn. She didn't go to Catholic church. She went to the Methodist church. Always did. And every Sunday morning, my dad would take the kids to the Catholic church. Mom would go to the Methodist church. We'd come back and have lunch, and I just felt like every family did that. And my parents are saints. I love them. And when I said to my mother a few years ago that I was going to get into politics, she's 82 now, she said, oh, no. I said, no, I'm going to run for comptroller because I'm very concerned about public education. Oh, no. Why, Mom? Why? And she said, oh, they're so unkind to each other. I raised you to be a nice boy. Do you really have to do it? And I said, I'll be nice, Mom. I won't let you down. I'll be nice. I'll be as nice as I can be. And I'm thinking about Mom today because we're in a church that looks more like a Methodist church than it does like a Catholic church. So I said, Mom, I'll just like you taught me, I'll be nice. I saw her the other week traveling, and she said, Mike, hit him again. We got to win. So let's go win. Let's go win.
All right. This is my shameless plug for money. to Stonewall Democrats, it is $20. We have forms in the back, and we also have a sustaining membership for $120 to help us raise money that takes us throughout the year. So if anyone would like to come, join us, please. We'd love to have you. And are there any other announcements? Announcements for tomorrow. In Longview, Beto Watch Party at RMC, 203 South High Street, and there's going to be another one here in Tyler at the Hub on South Broadway. This Saturday in Upshur County, I have to give a little plug to my Upshur County ladies who are running. We are having a Upshur County candidate forum in Gilmer. If anyone would like to come, please join us. And I also have another announcement from Ms. Regina is to meet the candidates in Henderson at the Henderson Civic Center. They are firing up the vote with a barbecue. It's a $10 donation for a barbecue plate on Saturday, October the 13th from 2 to 5. If you have any other questions, please see Ms. Regina Adams. And with that,
there are signs, buttons,
bumper stickers, any shirts, garb, anything that you need to support candidates is out there in the hall. Please go see them. And with that, I want to thank you so much for coming and joining us. You know, have a wonderful day.